Today, I want to get into JHope and his team pushing Sasaeng away and what happened there. I want to talk about fear of JHope being poisoned and hurt at the camp, and then even a moment where people were saying JHope was ignored by security. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, grab your dumplings, he's spilling mug merch, and let's go. I wanted to debunk some theories and conversations around HYBE not doing enough to protect their boys and their artists. The first thing we need to talk about is just how difficult it is to protect any artist. Obviously at this point for HYBE, money isn't going to be the issue when talking about getting bodyguards. But fame for these artists tend to creep up very fast, and while that sounds like a good thing, it's not always that way, because it gives little time for the label or artist to get accustomed to what they need to do to prepare and what fame entails. When you blow up fast, there are situations, for example, that TXT has to deal with. If you're unaware, TXT debuted in March 2019, so I think it was even a shock to hear that they got mobbed at the airport just in January of 2020, not really even a year later. The mob was very big, and I can imagine something like this would take the boys by storm, and then, of course, even the label. When an artist first debuts, it usually takes about a year or two before you really see huge crowds coming at them, or really any sort of recognition, and thus a label typically would not pay for huge security or have extremely good security measures in place until they see a reason to. Otherwise, there's 50 security guards to guard someone who maybe most people don't know yet. You might think the labels should do this for all artists, but if they literally sign a no-name artist, should they right off the bat just have lots of security for them, even if no one appears at the airport when that artist lands? That money comes out of the artist's budget, so the more they spend on that, the less they can spend on a music video. In situations where literally the night before an artist could have no one appear at the airport, but then the next day have a crowd of hundreds of people. That has happened. And how do you expect a label to prepare for that? There was a situation not too long ago where JHope was at the airport. He had just landed in Japan, and JHope walked out of the gate. It appeared like there was no one with him. A journalist recorded JHope by himself, and this went viral to say that HYBE is not taking care of their artists. Keep in mind, this was not what the journalist was trying to imply. They simply wanted to get a video of JHope, but this is what the fandom had to say about the clip. Now, the bodyguard could be a step behind JHope or a step ahead, who knows? One of the safest places for anyone would probably be the airport usually, so I wasn't concerned. Also, JHope receives like the least amount of death threats. JHope was then walking around trying to look for his suitcase. I want to throw another thought out there. Big artists are usually followed by security all the time. It's actually quite annoying when security follows everyone, and especially moments like at an airport or a concert where the members would want to meet the fans that have come out. Security is usually the one pushing the fans away from the artist. Perhaps this was a decision that JHope had on his own and less of a decision that had anything to do with HYBE. Even if HYBE said, you will guard JHope at all costs, but if JHope came in and was like, please step away from me, the security can't really do anything about that. Again, I'm not saying either situation happened, I'm just throwing things out there and given some food for thought. So no, I don't believe police or security was ignoring JHope's danger, and I definitely don't believe JHope was in danger. There were other moments at airports that were heavily documented as well, and moments where we have seen JHope get the utmost care in terms of being protected. There was a moment a long time ago where JHope was walking in the airport, and then a fan, I won't say stalker because we don't know, but it's assumed she was, but this girl was getting too close to JHope. I will give her the benefit of the doubt and say that it was an accident, but the likelihood of it being an accident is low because as you see the boys walking closer or anything like that, you should typically move and not move closer. So the fact that she was moving too close to the point where she was near JHope's bodyguard, it's too close. To which JHope's bodyguard did end up pushing her into a trash can. Now, did the bodyguard purposely say, oh look, a trash can, and then push her? I doubt it. I think the trash can was there and the bodyguard needed to get the girl out of the way. Her being pushed was also a safety measure for her, because if she wasn't pushed out of the way, there's a chance people chasing JHope from behind could have trampled or pushed her to the floor. So simply pushing the girl out of the line JHope is walking would be ensuring her safety as well. But keep in mind, security's job is to protect the idol, not you. So if you do get too close and you fall on top of something sharp, hit your head, and you die, that's on you, not the security. So as we can see in this example, JHope is well protected, and no one would be able to lay a finger on JHope. JHope has since then gotten a lot more famous, so to think that security would be less the more famous he gets, I don't think so. This makes me believe that it was likely JHope's decision to have less security at that more recent moment where we had seen him without security. People were saying if it was right after the Sasaeng apparently charged at JHope to be pushed into a trash can, and if JHope should have stopped at that moment. And absolutely not. When you're being chased maybe 100 people, even just 20 people, should you stop and then cause everyone to need to stop, it can be dangerous. Think of it similar to if you're driving on the highway at full speed and then you suddenly just slam the brakes. Now think of how dangerous that is not only for you on the highway right now, but also every single car that is going to ram into you. So no, JHope should not have stopped, and this narrative to also make JHope look like a cold person for not even acknowledging this fan after she was pushed is definitely not accurate. There was also a chance that JHope didn't even notice. A good security guard is not going to make it obvious for the artist that people are charging at them, right? They'll try to do it away from the artist's eye line. This way the artist doesn't get startled and react badly since it's already a high pressure situation. HYBE has also made sure to contribute more to the conversation even recently involving the safety of JHope at the military. There's been a lot of concern involving that after Jin recently was being reported to have been taken advantage of by a stalker nurse. To recap, she broke the rules of her camp to go see Jin to administer a vaccine, which is so scary to think about. Of course, Jin is okay, but people are now wondering what else is going on inside that camp and if there's safety precautions for JHope as well. HYBE recently posted on Wever's statement involving gifts and gifts being sent to the camp. You can imagine this is a concern, especially since Jungkook recently was receiving food gifts. The difference between what Jungkook received is that Jungkook has free range to move if he feels super in danger. He has free range to contact help, while JHope is literally in a location where the whole world knows and also does not have access to a phone or any sort of help. And also the chances of the military double checking every single package or thing that JHope gets is low. They have other things they need to do. The HYBE statement, to summarize, says to refrain from sending gifts and cards to JHope, and they phrased it in that way, that the camp basically won't have the infrastructure to hold all the gifts, and basically the gift will not get to JHope because it will be lost or maybe even thrown out. This is definitely a good way to phrase it, as the fans that are sending this are not going to want their gift lost. And definitely if it's a bad, malicious poison gift, the Sasaeng isn't going to want that to just be thrown out. So please don't send physical gifts to either the military or even HYBE's building. I sometimes get messages from people asking me where they can send stuff and if I have their fan mail address. That address was public. I believe it was a PO box. It doesn't exist anymore. HYBE and BTS members are currently not accepting anything physical, and they may not want to say this, but it is for safety because you see how crazy some people have gotten with their gifts. And what if someone laced a fan letter with poison or something like that? So don't waste your money or your time making those letters. Simply go on Weverse, make an account if you have not, and use the hashtag #DearJHope with an underscore instead of spaces and write your letter there. HYBE ensures that they will gather those messages and send them to JHope. So whatever you need to say, I know it feels like you won't get the message, but the message will be received. Simply watching and enjoying their music is also another way to support them if you feel so inclined to do so. We have a nice community on Patreon that reacts to a bunch of BTS content and fangirls together. There's a $1 tier that is open, so if you're interested, I will link that below. Hope to see you there. And what's annoying here is that people have demanded HYBE take these precautions, and HYBE did. Now people are saying that BTS has changed and they're not the same, because obviously they can't respond to every fan mail now and won't even accept fan mail, or in Jungkook's case, strangers' food. The difference from before to now is that they're more vocal about it. Both the company and the artist. You think rookies coming out of training would accept random food from strangers? They probably wouldn't either. And then fans have demanded more protection, and that includes not accepting mail. And I don't think the fandom understood that when they were sending billboard trucks outside of HYBE demanding better care. So I think HYBE is doing a great job, and I really do think they're doing their best to protect the boys. I hope next time any of you see people saying that HYBE is doing a bad job, you bring up these examples. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thank you for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.